Welcome to the Grassroots Army Podcast. This platform is for common sense people looking for up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information without the hot garbage corporate media bias. The power of one can lead to the power of many. You never know what small act that you may say or do that may literally change the lives of millions tomorrow. And don't you ever think that you can't make a difference, because you can.
Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Yes, Garrett is still smiling ear to ear, still loving what's going on. It is absolutely amazing, everything that's happening right now. So we are just going to continue to run with this stuff. So I got a great show for all of you here today. So welcome to the Grassroots Army Podcast. How about I get my mic in there? See, I'm so excited. I forgot to bring on my mic. So welcome. All right. So let's get started early today with everything that's going on. Obviously, Trump has cut the Department of Education and left it all back to the states before we get into a couple of his picks, because President Trump is not assembling the cabinet. He's assembling the gosh darn Avengers right now, and we're going to get to that here in a second. And I'm going to show you some clips of Pete Hegseth on the Sean Ryan show, which is an absolutely amazing interview. If you guys follow Sean Ryan, make sure you listen to that interview. It was several days ago. So we'll rock and roll with that. So let's get into the Department of Education. Now, rightfully so, we all know if the government gets involved with anything, it pretty much destroys it. And they have destroyed our educational system throughout the country, especially here in the state of Michigan. We continue to funnel money and continue to build administration and not allowing these kids to thrive. We can't read. Things are going really, really poorly here in the state of Michigan and throughout the country when the federal government tries to handle things. Okay. So let's talk about why this is so important to bring an education back to the states. Is number one, it's local accountability. We're such a diverse country. When we leave it back to the state and local communities, we're going to be more directly accountable to parents, students, and the educators. Okay. Local controls allow parents to have a say-so. And so that's huge. Diverse needs across the country. Just like I said, we are a diverse nation. So what works for one state might not necessarily work for another. So it allows this kind of freedom of enterprise to happen and to allow states to adapt, improvise, and overcome any potential challenges depending on their situation. And we have innovation and experimentation. This allows states to start experimenting with different types of learning, different types of systems, and creating new ideas and approaches, which is good. We need to adapt. So all these things that I'm talking about, this all sounds great, right? I mean, it's really thinking outside the box. And of course, when we're taking government out of it, it's always going to be a good thing. And the biggest thing that I like about this too is protection of parental rights. What we're seeing a lot of these Democrat-run states, like California and everything else, my goodness gracious, they're taking away parental rights, which should never, ever happen. And we can always focus on our constitutional principles, which is fantastic. Okay. So I agree with dissolving the federal Department of Education and allowing the states to take back control for all of those reasons that I just listed. Let's get into the really exciting stuff that happened overnight. Number one, President Trump picking Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk for the DOGE, the Department of they're going to Department of Efficiency, Federal Efficiency, right? DOGE, no, Governmental Efficiency, Department of Governmental Efficiency, DOGE. And they put Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy in charge of that. So I found a clip, and I think it's pretty spot on. You guys all know that I am a huge fan of Javier Milei and what he did. So here's a clip of him when he got into office. And I can just imagine, because if you think back of what Elon Musk did when he bought Twitter, he went in there and he had that kitchen sink, right? He fired everybody. And look what he's done to X. My goodness gracious. Here's what I envision Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy doing right here.
Deporte, afuera. Ministerio de Cultura, afuera. Ministerio de Ambiente y Desarrollo Sostenible, afuera. Ministerio de las Mujeres y Género y Diversidad, afuera. Ministerio de Obras Públicas, afuera. aunque te resistas. Ministerio de Ciencia y Tecnología e Innovación, afuera. Ministerio de Trabajo, Empleo y Seguridad Social, afuera. Ministerio de Educación, adoctrinamiento, afuera. Ministerio de Transporte, afuera. Ministerio de Salud, afuera. Ministerio de Desarrollo Social, afuera. Se acabó el curro de la política. ¡Viva la libertad, carajo!
The thievery of politics is over. I love it. I'm a huge fan of Javier Milei in Argentina. He had also MAGA down in Argentina, make Argentina great again. He's a huge fan of President Trump. So that's what I envision our peoples here, Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk, going into government. And it's just an exciting time, just allowing us to start cutting government, getting government out of our everyday lives. Small government is the way to go, and we all can agree with that. So let's get into Pete Hegseth, okay? This was shocking to me, all right? A lot of people only know Pete Hegseth from Fox News. Fox News. They watch him on the morning, and sometimes he's on the weekdays. But you have to understand, Pete Hegseth has a lot of experience, and I'm going to show some clips from him interviewing with Sean Ryan a couple days ago. Man, oh man, he is smart as a tack. He's got a degree from Princeton, a master's from Harvard. He's been deployed 3 times, 2 Bronze Stars. The guy lives and breathes the military, loves his veterans, and I believe he is the right man for the job. So let's listen in to some of the clips with him getting interviewed by Sean Ryan. Listen to this.
The Pentagon is in the book, the exact amount of years, but in the past X number of years, 10, 12, 15, the Pentagon has a perfect record in all of its war games against China. We lose every time inside the Pentagon War Games. We know what our real capability. You see, we didn't even get to this part of the war on warriors. I mean, the military-industrial complex, the way we procure weapon systems, we're always, the way our system works, the way our bureaucratic system works, where the speed of weapons procurement works, we're always a decade behind in fighting the last war. Whereas China, we have, what did Rumsfeld say? You go to the war, the army you have. We have the army. China's building an army specifically dedicated to defeating the United States of America. That is their strategic outset. Take hypersonic missiles. So if our whole power projection platform is aircraft carriers and the ability to project power that way strategically around the globe. And yeah, we have a nuclear triad and all of that, but a big part of it. And if, 15 hypersonic missiles can take out our 10 aircraft carriers in the first 20 minutes of a conflict, what does that look like?
Yeah.
I mean, and if they've already got us by the balls economically, which you pointed out very well, with our grid, culturally, there's plenty of elite capture going on around the globe. I mean, and then microchips and everything. Why do they want Taiwan? They want to corner the market completely on the technological future. We can't even drive our cars without the stuff we need out of China these days. I mean, they have a full spectrum, long-term view of not just regional but global domination, and we have our heads up our asses. To course correct it, but it would take a new Trump administration going after it really hard.
How would they correct it?
Well, first of all, you got to fire. You got to fire the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever that was involved in any of the DEI woke shit, has got to go. Either you're in for war fighting, and that's it. And that's the only litmus test we care about. You got to get DEI and CRT out of military academies, so you're not training young officers to be baptized in this type of thinking. And then, whatever the standards, whatever the combat standards were, say, in, 1995, let's just make those the standards. And as far as recruiting, to hire the guy that, did Top Gun Maverick and create some real ads that motivate people to want to serve. And there's lots of other ways in which you could identify who gets promoted and what, but there's an ethos change. I mean, there's a reason people don't want to serve, because they don't trust that their senior leaders are going to have their best interest in mind in combat. I know there were mistakes made on our tours all over the place, but I, at least for the most part, had a sense that my senior leaders were committed to the completion of the mission for the right reasons. And maybe there were strategic differences and all that other stuff, and it wasn't always perfect, but that trust is broken, and you have to reestablish that trust by putting in no-nonsense warfighters in those positions who aren't going to cater to the socially correct garbage. 27, I was under consideration by Trump to be his VA secretary.
Nice.
I was interviewed multiple times. In fact, I was down to the final 2. And, go up to Trump Tower, up the elevator, sit with him, talk about it. And ultimately, I think he thought I was a little young and all that. But I remember he called me at one point in the process, and he said, Pete, I want to pick you. I want to pick you, but there's one problem. Why do all the veterans groups hate you? And I sort of laughed. And he goes, no, but they hate you. And I'm like, well, Mr. President, let me tell you why. Because outside the box thinking of, say, providing private choice for veterans is a threat, complete threat to the ecosystem around the government bureaucracy and the VA and the veterans groups. They exist to defend their territory. And they'll say, oh, it's for the betterment of the vets. Well, if vets are getting better treatment from non-conventional places, why aren't we exploring that? Well, the bureaucracy can't handle that. Well, it's not the existing system. It's not where most of the money comes from.
Wow. I mean, that is just a couple of the clips that I took from the Sean Ryan show. I think it's like a 2-hour interview. All right. So look up Sean Ryan, listen to his podcast. He has interviewed many, many people. His podcast is fantastic. It's right up there with one of my favorites, along with Joe Rogan and everything else. So you got to check out his podcast. It's the Sean Ryan podcast. It's over a 2-hour interview with Pete Hegseth. And it really just shows you, number one, why he is going to be the right man for the job. Everything he just said from those clips, from getting rid of the woke garbage, from competing with China, to making the American military attractive, especially to younger people again, not these woke commercials that they're putting out, but obviously like back when we were growing up, like the Top Gun kind of commercials, and you were proud to serve and you wanted to serve. I mean, you were creating war fighters to defend us. That's what we want. That's what I want. And so I know a lot of you that are watching, except for some woke people out there. I'm going to highlight this guy. This guy's a pretty big troll on Twitter. He's always trolling me. His name is Travis Branch. So let's give him his little limelight. See, he thinks I'm only on Twitter, but he doesn't know that this show goes everywhere on all my platforms. So, hey, Travis, say hi to hundreds of thousands of people that are going to be watching this show. This guy's always trolling on X. So if you see him over on X, go ahead and give him a hi, because he's always on there saying hot garbage. Again, he's just one of those woke liberals trying to get his fame. So here's some fame for you, buddy. Enjoy. I'm sure he enjoyed every second of that. But my goodness gracious, I am excited to have Trump's picks. And now look, are all of his picks going to be perfect? You got the social media influencers out there. Well, I don't like this person. Hey, I think that President Trump has learned a lot since the first time. And I think he's going to put the right people in these positions initially. And guess what? If these people don't do a great job, Pete Hegseth, Vivek, Elon, he'll fire them and get the right people in, because already the woke left is freaking out on their corporate media saying, oh my gosh, he's just going to hire and fire these people. Hey, look, you got a job to do. And that's what needs to happen in government, especially. If you're not doing your job, if you're not making it better, then you're out. Next. That's how successful businesses are run, folks. And so we're going to see more and more on who gets put in there, but I have all the faith in the world right now of him surrounding himself with the right people, and we'll see. It may change, but we will adapt, improvise, but the next 4 years are going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of things that are happening. And look, the left is not going to stop. They're going to lick their wounds right now. They're very quiet, except for a few people over on X that are still complaining, but they're going to regroup. And then they're going to sit back and wait for something to happen. And then they're all going to be on there again. And so what I'm calling out is the illegal immigration stuff. I've called this out for over a year now, is when we start deporting folks, corporate media, which is just a propaganda arm of the left, is going to start putting out that he's putting people in cages and he's separating families, and they're going to have video footage, and they're going to push that, and they're going to try to bring it down that way. That's one example, I should say, that they're going to do it, because there's probably going to be some illegal immigrant uprising as they're deporting folks. So we'll see. And we're going to see what the corporate media does with that. And obviously everything with Trump's court cases. And what are the elites going to do? Do you think the elites are just going to sit back and allow Trump to start to instill these tariffs? All these folks have international businesses. They're going to be very upset that they're going to be losing money. And so they're going to try to do everything in their power to bring down President Trump and his new cabinet and everything else. So it's hey, just can't pick up your football and go home, folks. It's going to get squirrely here. So keep your head on a swivel, that is for sure. And like I said to the grassroots army out there, my wonderful group of volunteers, rest up. You have to rest up because 2026 is going to be upon us very quickly. And in 2025, in January, I'm going to activate all of you to get behind the right person to win back this state. I made a vow to all of you that we are not going to quit, and I'm not going to quit until we restore the checks and balances of our beloved state. And that is making sure that we're taking back the gubernatorial. All right, that's what we have to do. The gubernatorial race is going to be upon us, and there are a lot of people's names being thrown around. I already came out publicly and say I'm not throwing my hat in the ring. My ego is going to be put on the bench, and I'm going to get behind. I'm not going to split up the ticket like I did last time. I'm going to sit back and see who's going to run, and I'm going to get behind the person who I think can run the state of Michigan like a business. I don't want a social media influencer. I don't want a journalist. I don't want somebody who just has legislative experience. I'm looking for an executive, a business person, just like President Trump, that who can get in there in the state of Michigan, cut government, right, and start making Michigan on the path to get it back to where I believe it should be, that's the powerhouse of this nation. We need an executive. We truly do. And whatever business person that will be, please stand up and get a hold of me. I'd like to interview. I want you to bring you on the show. I'll be reaching out to all the potential candidates here over the next several weeks to see if they want to come on and talk about the state government here. To start asking some serious questions, because we want to get the right person, because the general is going to be interesting. There's all types of people that may be running: Jocelyn Benson, Dana Nessel, Dugan, Buttigieg. I mean, there's a lot of people on the left side that's thinking about running. And so we have to unite as soon as possible, and we have to start bringing it to the Democrats on their side during the general. That is for sure. We got to get it done. So my butt will be on fire again, going throughout the state, inspiring and motivating and activating Michigan and America's greatest asset, and that's we the people. Okay, to take back our local communities, our state, and everything else. And there's a lot of other hot garbage going on. I'm still getting messages about the indoctrination that's happening in our public schools. Folks, continue to stand up, go to your school board meetings, call that garbage out. We will win that fight too, okay? Especially with what President Trump's going to be doing, is bringing it back to the states. But you have to be involved. You have to be involved. You just can't stay quiet. Get there, because you are the majority. The majority doesn't want this woke garbage. We don't. We don't want DEI. We don't want CRT. We don't want indoctrination happening to our kids. We don't want boys and girls locker rooms and restrooms. We don't want men competing in women's sports. The majority has spoken. You are the majority. So go there and stand up. I don't care who they get there to show up and show, oh, we're doing this for our side. Sorry, you're the majority. Stand up, take back what is yours, and do some common sense. And you have to do that at the local level. Okay? So keep rocking and rolling. God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan, of course, and always. God bless these United States. Till next time. Bye-bye.